Well, Toby, I have to say you look like you have the weight of the world on your shoulders. It's still raining in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, it's still raining. I think we had another 60 mils last night, so that's that's tipped us over 900 for January and February at our place. And we're not even wet compared to other parts because it should be well over a metre for January, February now. So it is just unbelievable.
And of course, Wairoa has been just, decimated, hasn't it? It's really been hit hard, which is, of course, part of your parish.
Yeah, yeah, Wairoa was hit really difficult, and that's the same thing. There's inland catchments got. I wouldn't be surprised if some of those rain gauges are 700 mils really in that 24-hour period, and probably about 400 mils in a 2 or 3 hour period. So it's done the damage. Just came in really hard and fast, and just really it's caused a lot of damage, and a lot of suffering for a lot of people.
Now, are you going to be involved in the Slash inquiry? I'm obviously sure you are, as a pivotal person behind getting it going in the first place. But what's the timeline for that?
Well, we're still waiting to hear from them. They've got 2 months to do it. And Stuart Nash was in the media last week talking about they've got 2 weeks to get out there and get all the information, and then about another 6 weeks to put it all together. Which just, we're fantastic. We're really happy there's an inquiry. But one question's why only have it such a short period? It's a major event we're having. We're still in a state of emergency. I don't see any reason why we should be rushing this. Let's take our time. Let's make sure we make good decisions, because we know the decisions we made after Bowler in '88. We're seeing the consequences of some of that now, and it wasn't the right decision. They were rushed decisions. We need to take our time, make sure we get it right, so we don't repeat the mistakes we've got now.
So the rush decision back at Bowler in '88 was what, growing too many forests basically and trying to stop the erosion that way. But then, of course, when you take those trees away, what happens?
That's exactly it. And planting trees was the right thing. We can't get away from that. They needed to stabilise those hills, which should never have been cleared from back in the 20s and 30s. So they did the right thing. However, what we didn't learn is, and 2018 was our wake-up call, was that when we have heavy rainfall events, that our hills still do the same thing, irrespective of having forestry on them. And we've seen, mature stanza forest collapse on these hills now as well. So we need to look at different ways of doing things. And the catchment clear fell that we're doing now certainly isn't the way forward. And it's really pleasing to see we had forestry companies starting to realise that, although for our communities, it's too late. The damage is done, and it's going to be many years now until it actually all comes out of, the rest of that slash up the waterways comes out.
Is there an option for just leaving some of those trees there? I know Stuart Nash suggested that some of those blocks will be retired. I don't know who pays for that, but nonetheless, should we be leaving a whole block of trees there to try and stop this flood of slash?
The problem we've got now is those are mature pine trees, and really they need to be harvested. Otherwise, they're going to fail, and instead of having bits of branches in your waterways, you've got full trees in your waterways. We do know some of the forestry companies, as they're replanting now, those steep gullies, the bottoms of the creeks are being left and planted in natives and riparian. Or they're planting different species that are going to stay there for a lot longer to act as catchers. But it doesn't, that doesn't excuse the way you harvest. Yes, it'll slow it down and stop it potentially, but it doesn't actually change the behaviour on those slopes. First and foremost, we need to be looking at changing that behaviour. So, but leaving the trees there is a good start, but they do actually need to be harvested so we don't have, a 40-metre tree coming down instead of a 4-metre log.
And the option to, I know it sounds probably a bit basic, but to chip it or to create lots of firewood, I mean, that's presumably just not economically sound.
That's what everyone says. It's not economically sound, which is why they don't do it. It's expensive, it costs a lot. But we'll look at the infrastructure damage we've got. And, so what is the cost? The community now pays the cost for poor harvesting practices. Stuart Nash, over the last 2 years, has been very clear about wanting more trees and having a bioeconomy. Yet we've seen no pathways forward to do that. I've been a big proponent of chipping those trees, chipping the slash. Yes, it'll still end up in your waterway, but there's no way that can cause damage when you've got nice little chip pieces. The ultimate would be to chip those and be utilising it, for generating electricity. You can get microplants and things like that now on the coast. So why couldn't we look at chipping those trees and trucking them out to Rotorua or Tokomoto Bay or Trolligo Bay and having micro processing plants there. We've got small power stations that you're burning the fuel, and then you're utilizing that electricity to potentially say make hydrogen. And then the hydrogen then fuels the trucks, which is bringing it in and out of the forests. So you've got more of a circular economy utilizing that wood. We know there's 30 years of harvesting still to go in our plus in our region, so we should be really looking to utilize it all.